Hello and welcome dear students. My today's lecture is on structure of flower and its variations. The angiosperm plants produce distinctive structures called flowers for the purpose of reproduction, genetic recombination and for the production of seeds and fruits. Generally, every plant after going through a period of vegetative growth, attaining maturity and responding to environmental cues start producing flowers. Flowers are the key features of angiosperms and are complex organs that produce the male and female gametophytes. Evolutionarily speaking, a flower is a modified shoot. A flower, sometimes known as a bloom or blossom, can be defined as a determinate modified vegetative shoot with compressed internodes which bear structures that are highly modified leaves. The biological function of a flower is to perform the act of reproduction, usually by providing a mechanism for the union of sperm with eggs. Flowers contain sporangia and are the site where gametophytes develop. Flowering plants are heterosporous, producing two types of spores. Microspores are produced by meiosis inside anthers, while megaspores are produced in ovules attached inside an ovary. In fact, an anther typically consists of 4 microsporangia and an ovule is an integumented megasporangium. Structure of flower. Take a flower of any color or size growing in your area, you will find its basic plan to be the same, that the flower is borne on a stalk called peduncle. If peduncle sports more than one flowers, the stems connecting each flower to the main axis are called pedicels. The pedicel has a swollen tip known as thalamus or receptacle upon which are borne 4 whorls of accessory and reproductive structures in a definite order. A stereotypical flower consists of 4 kinds of structures attached to the receptacle. The organization of floral parts with respect to each other is called estivation. The 4 whorls of a typical flower constitute 2 external whorls of vegetative structures called sepals and petals and 2 inner fertile whorls called stamens and carpels. The fertile parts produce male and female sex cells. The male cells called sperms are in the pollen grains produced by the stamens, and the female cells called eggs are in the ovules produced by the carpels. The sperm and egg cells unite in the ovary at the base of the carpel and develop into seeds. Generally, a typical flower has both carpels and stamens. In some species, however, the flowers are unisexual with only carpels or stamens. A flower with only stamens is called androecious, whereas a flower with only carpels is called gynoecious. Similarly, a flower having only functional stamens and lacking functional carpels is called a staminate flower, as in Rasscopelina, and plants with only functional carpels is called pistillate, as in Hellebores. An abortive or rudimentary stamen is called staminodium or staminode, as in Scrophularia nodosa. The 4 main whorls starting from the base of the flower are lowest node and working upwards are as under. The first is calyx. Calyx represents the outermost whorl, consists of units called sepals. These are typically green and enclose the rest of the flower in the bud stage. However, they can be absent or may be prominent and petal-like in some species. There are usually as many sepals as there are petals, and they are arranged so that they alternate with the petals. There are, however, many exceptions to these rules as well. When the flower is in bud stage, the sepals enclose and protect the more delicate floral parts within. The calyx and the corolla together form what is known as the perianth. The number of sepals in a flower is called its myriosity. The myriosity of eudicot flowers is typically 4 or 5, whereas myriosity of a monocot or paleodicot flower is generally 3 or a multiple of 3. The form of the sepals varies considerably among the flowering plants. Often the sepals are much reduced, appearing somewhat awn-like or as scales, teeth, pups or ridges, as in Asteraceae and among the grasses. In some flowers, the sepals are fused towards the base, forming a calyx tube, as in Lythraceae. The calyx should not be confused with epicalyx, which refers to an involucre resembling the calyx but consisting of a whorl of bracts that is exterior to the calyx or results from the union of the sepal appendages. Now we come to corolla. The collective term for all the petals in a flower is called corolla. If the petals are free from one another in corolla, the flower is called polypetalous or corypetalous, and if they show any degree of fusion in corolla, it is called gamopetalous or sympatalous. They often are bright colored or unusually shaped to attract pollinators. When the petals and sepals of a flower look similar and it is not possible to distinguish them, they are termed as tepals. Examples of plants in which the term tepal is appropriate include liliaceous genera such as narcissus, irises and tulip, etc. Conversely, genera such as solanum and phaseolus have well distinguished sepals and petals. Petals can differ dramatically in different species. The number of petals in a flower may hold clues to a plant's classification. For example, flowers in dicots most frequently have 4 or 5 or their multiple petals, while as monocots have 3 or its multiple petals. Although there are many exceptions to this. The corolla may be either radially or bilaterally symmetrical. If all of the petals are essentially identical in size and shape, the flower is said to be regular or actinomorphic, meaning ray-formed. Many flowers are symmetrical in only one plane and are termed irregular or zygomorphic. In irregular flowers, other floral parts may be modified from the regular form, but the petals show the greatest deviation from the radial symmetry. Examples of zygomorphic flowers may be seen in plants of Lamiaceae, Papilionaceae and Orchidaceae families, etc., whereas actinomorphic flowers are fairly common in Liliaceae, Rosaceae and Brassicaceae, etc. In many plants of the aster family such as sunflower, the circumference of the flower head is composed of ray florets. Each ray floret is anatomically an individual flower with a gamopetalous corolla looking like a single large petal. Although petals are usually the most conspicuous part of a flower, some species such as grasses have either very small petals or lack them entirely. Now we come to androecium. Inner to the corolla are found male reproductive parts of a flower known as stamens, collectively called androecium, and represent the first fertile whorl of the flower. Androecium generally surrounds the gynoecium except in family Triuridaceae, particularly in Lecandonia schismatica, in which the gynoecium surrounds the androecium. The stamen is the pollen producing reproductive organ of a flower. Stamens typically consist of a stalk called the filament and an anther which contains microsporangia. Anthers are generally two-lobed and are attached to the filament either at the base or in the middle portion. However, single-lobed anthers are also found in certain plants. An anther with a single lobe is called as monothecous, while as an anther with two lobes is called bithecous. The sterile tissue between the lobes is called connective. A typical anther contains 4 microsporangia. The microsporangia form sacs or packets called locules in the anther. The two separate locules on each side of an anther may fuse into a single locule. Each microsporangium is lined with a nutritive tissue layer called the tapetum and initially contains diploid pollen mother cells. These undergo meiosis to form haploid spores. Each microspore divides mitotically to form an immature microgametophyte called a pollen grain. The pollen is eventually released by the opening of the anther, generally by means of longitudinal slits, but sometimes by pores as in the family Ericaceae or by valves as in the family Berberidaceae. Now we come to gynoecium. The gynoecium, from ancient Greek gyne meaning woman and oikos meaning house, is a term with several meanings in botanical usage. In reference to mosses, liverworts and hornworts, gynoecium refers to a cluster of archegonia and any associated modified leaf or stems present on a gametophyte shoot. More commonly, gynoecium refers to the ovule producing part of a flower. The gynoecium is typically the innermost whorl of structures in a flower and is surrounded in perfect flowers by the androecium and in incomplete flowers by the perianth. The gynoecium is often referred to as female because it gives rise to female gametophytes. Gynoecia give rise to and protect ovules within the one or more ovaries. Carpels are the building blocks of the gynoecium. If a gynoecium has a single carpel, it is called monocarpus, whereas a gynoecium with multiple distinct and free carpels is called apocarpus. If a gynoecium has multiple carpels fused into a single structure, it is called syncarpus. A syncarpus gynoecium can sometimes appear very much like a monocarpus gynoecium. Because of this difficulty in interpreting carpel number and arrangement, some people use the term pistil to describe the visible structures in a gynoecium. However, the pistil terminology is less exact and more cumbersome. Each structure in a gynoecium, whether it consists of a single carpel or many fused carpels, usually consist of style, stigma and ovary. The style is a pillar-like conduit allowing the pollen to grow to the egg cell and deliver the sperm. The style of a pistil is the tube-like portion between the stigma and the ovary. It can be either long or short. In some cases, the style is responsible for self-incompatibility, causing pollen tubes to fail to germinate. The stigma, usually found at the tip of the style, is a portion of the structure that receives the pollen, that is male gametophytes. It is commonly sticky or feathery to capture pollen grains. The style and stigma of the flower are involved in most types of self-incompatibility reactions. Stigmas can vary from long and slender to globe-shaped to feathery. The stigma is the receptive tip of the carpel which receives pollen at pollination and on which the pollen grains germinate. It is adapted to catch and trap pollens either by combining pollens of visiting insects or by various hairs, flaps or sculpturing structures. Stigmas must distinguish and reject the pollen of other species and in some cases are responsible for self-incompatibility. The enlarged basal portion of the carpels is called the ovary, which contains placentas bearing ovules. A chamber inside an ovary in which the ovules develop is called a locule. The number of locules is independent of the number of carpels. If there are multiple locules, the walls dividing them are called septa. Based on the position and arrangement of the placenta, the gynoecia are of following types. In monocarpous or apocarpous gynosia, placenta are typically arranged in longitudinal strips near the margins of the carpel called marginal placentation. In syncarpous gynosia, where the fused carpels form a central column and several locules are formed from their fused margins, in such cases the placenta can occur in the center of the ovary on the column and is called axial placentation. In some ovaries, the placenta are found in clumps along the walls called parietal placentation or on a central column with no septa defining locules called free central placentation. In some cases, a single ovule is attached to the bottom or top of the locule called basal or apical placentation respectively. Now, we come to ovule. The ovule is a complex structure born inside ovaries of carpels in angiosperms. It initially consists of a stalked integumented megasporangium. Typically, one cell in the megasporangium undergoes meiosis, resulting in 1 to 4 megaspores. These develop into reduced megagametophytes called embryo sacs within the ovules. Before fertilization, the ovule consists of 1 or 2 layers of integuments surrounding the remains of the megasporangium called the nucellus and an embryo sac with a small number of cells and nuclei, including one egg cell and 2 polar nuclei, which together with a sperm cell form the primary endosperm nucleus. The gap in the integuments through which the pollen tube enters to deliver sperm to the egg is called the micropyle. The stalk attaching the ovule to the placenta is called the funiculus. Ovules are generally positioned so that the micropyle is facing the point of funiculus attachment. In a fully syncarpous gynosium, the challenge is to determine how many carpels fuse to form the gynosium. Sometimes the number of stigmas or stigma loops is useful, as can be ridges on the ovary or locules within the ovary. The degree of conation in a syncarpous gynosium can vary. Fusion can occur very early in carpel development or later. In some gynosia, carpels are fused only at their base, but retain separate styles and stigmas. In other gynosia, the ovaries and styles are fused, but the stigmas remain separate. Sometimes, as in apocynaceae, carpels are fused by their styles or stigmas, but possess distinct ovaries. If the ovary of the gynosium is above the attachment of the petals and sepals, on the receptacle the ovary is called superior and the perianth is described as being hypogynous. In some flowers with superior ovaries, common as in rose family, the base of the stamens, petals and sepals are fused into a floral tube or hypanthium. In these flowers, the ovary can be free or partially fused with the hypanthium, but remains at least partially superior. In this case, the perianth is described as perigynous. In some flowers, the ovary is completely fused to the hypanthium and only the style and stigma project above the sepals, petals and stamens, which appear to be attached to the top of the ovary. This sort of ovary is called an inferior ovary and the perianth is said to be epigynous. Plants with inferior ovaries include orchids, asters and evening primrose, etc. Now, we come to floral formula. A floral formula is a way to represent the structure of a flower using specific letters, numbers and symbols. Taking this as example as BR, EBR and C5, K5, A infinity G1, the above formula will be for a flower which is bracteate, abracteolate, zygomorphic, pistillate with sepals 5, petals 5. Stamens indefinite, carpels 1 with superior ovary. Now we come to floral diagram. It is the graphical representation of a floral formula as shown in the figure. It depicts a flower with a bracket, 5 sepals, 5 petals, 5 stamens and 5 carpels. Now we examine the variations in the basic structure of flower. Like snowflakes, the flowers of no two plant species are exactly alike. When you think that blossoms have so few parts, this is an amazing fact to have such a diversity in flowers. It is remarkable to see that in spite of having a common stereotypic architecture, the flowers come in such a bewildering variety of shapes, sizes and colors. Generally, the two groups of angiosperms, that is monocots and dicots, show marked differences in their basic flower structure. In monocots, the perianth lobes are generally indistinguishable and flower parts are usually in threes or multiple of 3. Whereas in dicots, the perianth lobes are well distinguished into calyx and corolla and the floral parts are generally in 4s or 5s or their multiples. In some monocots like members of family Poaceae, the flower is highly reduced and is represented by 2 bracts called lemma and palea, which enclose stamens and carpels. Some plants produce flowers which never open and are self-fertilized as in some violets and some other plants. Such flowers are called as cleistogamous. The variation in flowers can also be due to slight deviation in its basic parts, including their position, structure, their sexual expression and symmetry, etc. Based on the symmetry of corolla, the flowers can be of following types. First, we examine the flowers with actinomorphic type of corolla. The actinomorphic corolla type flowers can be rotate, that is wheel shaped as in Vinca major, or campanulate, bell shaped as in Campanula funneliform, or funnel shaped as in Datura and Petunia. They may be tubular as an elongated tube with minimal limbs, or they may be silveriform, an elongated tube with a conspicuous limb, or they may be ureolate, an inflated tube with a terminal constriction or urn shaped. Similarly, flowers with zygomorphic corolla can also be of following types as bilabiate with 2 lipped structures, usually due to a landing platform commonly found in labiates, or may be ligulate, that is petals connate at the margins to form a strap shaped corolla as in the members of family Astraceae. They may be geniculate with a knee-like bend or spurred with an extension or spur common in Delphinium, Aquilegia and Linaria, etc. Zygomorphic corolla can also be of papilionaceous type like a butterfly with a central standard petal and lateral wings petals, as in papilionaceous plants like Astragalus and Piscium, etc. Flowers also vary with respect to their stamens. The stamens show variations in their cohesion as monodelphous, where filaments fuse into one bundle but anthers are free, as in members of family Malvaceae. Or they may be diadelphous, where filaments fuse to form 2 bundles common in members of family Papilionaceae, or they may be polydelphous, where filaments fuse to form many bundles as in lemon and hypericum, etc. Stamens can also show variations in their degree of cohesion, or syngenous stamens, where filaments are free but anthers are fused as in members of aster family. Variations of flowers with respect to their carpels. On the basis of number of carpels, flowers may be monocarpellary, having 1 carpel as in P, or polycarpellary with many carpels as in China rose, which may be syncarpous with fused carpels, or apocarpous where carpels are free. Types of flowers based on reduction or sexual expression. Again, the fundamental structural pattern of a flower is the complete set of 4 floral whorls. The upper two, that is gynoecium and androecium, with primary reproductive function, and the lower two, that is corolla and calyx, with supportive and other functions. The term incomplete refers to the absence of one or more of these floral whorls. The following type of variations can be generally observed in angiosperm flowers with respect to their floral whorls. Uniseriate perianth, where only a single perianth whorl, usually the calyx, which when alone can take a petalide or petal-like form. Flowers may be perfect with both reproductive whorls present in the flower, or may be imperfect with one of the 2 reproductive whorls is missing. With the flower unisexual in terms of reproductive function. The unisexual flowers can be staminate, where only stamens are present and gynoecium is lacking, or may be pistillate, where only carpels are found but no stamens. With this, we conclude our today's lecture. Dear students, today we discussed about the basic structure and architecture of a typical flower, its various parts and their individual structures, and the variety and variability among flowers. We also highlighted the role of flowers in plant reproduction and the economic importance of various flowers to humans. Hope that it will help you to understand the topic on flower structure. Thank you very much. Have a good day.